who are the actual contenders? So when we talk about the Seahawks and 49ers, as we just did with the Rams for their league, all these teams are behind the conference leading Arizona Cardinals in the NFC West. So with this win, Seahawks are 5-game loss, 5-game won. Same with the 49ers. Seahawks win this game on a last-second Geno Smith scramble, 20-17.
Was still not the best scramble of the week.
No, and we'll get to that. But
God, I look like death. I'm just staring myself. Like, I just see the bags under my eyes, and I'm pale. I mean, wait, I'm always pale.
Yeah.
Oy vey.
It's okay, man. It was still red, which is great.
Stop picking at it.
I know, that's what it is. But the Seahawks casino win 20-17. How much faith do you have in the Cardinals to win this division?
Honestly, a lot. I really do. They're scrappy as hell, man.
I kind of like the Cardinals this year.
I like the Cardinals, and yes, the Niners are playing decent, and yes, the Seahawks are playing decent, but they don't seem to have the same scrappy we want to win now mentality that Arizona does.
Yeah. And also, again,
I think San Francisco is truly going to be – San Francisco's like, I'm going to lose. And, I mean, you have 8, 9, and 10 right now are all teams from that division. And, you know, they're all sitting at 5-5, 2 games out of the wild card, and Arizona's at 6-4. This is going to come down to who wants it more. And from the 10 games that I have seen from all these teams, Arizona just looks like the one that wants to win now. The other ones are playing almost a little timid. I know there's been injuries, and I know there's been, ups and downs and close games, but Arizona just seems like the team that wants. You haven't heard a lot of Kyler Murray. Like, the locker room has been pretty quiet so far this season, which is, I think, helped them out tremendously. And those are the kind of teams I have like. And we talk about it plenty with the Bucs this year. Baker puts his head down and he just plays ball. He has his 3 top receivers out, and he's still in there. They're 4-6, but he's making every game interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at the 49ers, they still have a top 10 defense basically in every category. They still offensively are basically what they were last year, except just scoring less points, right? Obviously, they've been bitten by the injury bug, but this really does just feel like the NFC equivalent of the Texans, which is just like they're not as good as they were last year. They still have basically all the pieces, and everybody's kind of doing the same thing they did last year, but just the only difference is it's not amounting to wins. So we talked about the Texans earlier. Now the San Francisco 49ers, they're 5-5. They're right at 500. And I mean, the games they've lost or the games they've won have all been pretty close to each other. I mean, every game, what is it you look at, and it's just up if we can get to it. Yeah, they blow out the Jets Monday Night Football. So you're like, here they go. And then after that, 1-score loss against the Vikings, 1-score loss against the Rams. They blow out the Patriots. So you're like right back on track. They lose by a point to the Cardinals. Blow out the Seahawks, and you're like, here it goes. And then they lose by 10 points to the Chiefs. They win a 1-score game against the Cowboys, win a 1-score game against the Bucs, and then lose a 1-score game against the Seahawks. So again, they blew out the teams they should have blown out, which were the Patriots and the Jets, which ended up being bottom of the league teams. But then when they play real competition, it's every game they've played against one team competition, they've lost by a score or won by a score. So it's not, I don't know, this just feels like who they are. Half the weeks they lose, half the weeks they win, and they're sitting at 500. Like, I don't know what to give it. Yeah. But let's move on to the next one, Casino, which was a barn burner on Sunday Night Football, which was the Chargers and Bengals. Chargers end up winning 34-27. They are now 7-3. Cincinnati now 4-7.
I couldn't take my eyes off of this game.
This was maybe obviously besides the Eagles winning on Thursday night, this was maybe my favorite game of the week, just in terms of like having fun while watching
They
it.
were just slinging it. They were
Yeah.
just absolutely slinging it. As you know, I've said it on this podcast a lot that I listen to Colin Cowherd a lot when I'm driving around through the day with the kids, and him and J Mac talked about it perfectly, where it's like um, Steelers Ravens, even though it was a close and good game, it was just very helmet on helmet. Nobody was
Yeah, it
really
was an
budging.
AFC North game.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
exactly AFC North game, and even though it meant it was a big game, it was for the division, it was a big game. I was more entertained by the Monday night or the Sunday night game because it was just big chunk plays after big chunk plays after big chunk plays, just going back and forth. And I thought that was really, really fun to watch, man. I mean, Jamar Chase and I love this duo, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. They're I know that they've had a little bit of spatting as of late, but to me that's just like brothers having an issue with each other because they won a national title together in LSU. They're very, very close, and now they're just doing the same thing what they're doing in the NFL. That I love watching these two play, and it's a shame that their defense is so bad because I want to see this duo in the playoffs, but it's not going to happen this year, and I
No.
just feel so bad for both of them. I truly feel so bad for both of them. Um, what were their
Yeah.
stats here?
Well, this was also like the last gasp effort of this Bengals team.
Yeah, dude,
They lose this
three
one and it's
touchdowns,
out.
0 interceptions. He threw 50 times, 28 completions. So, I mean, almost only 50% completion rating, but 356 yards. And Jamar Chase only got 75 yards. T. Higgins was the big target this game. But, what else can Joe Burrow do, man? He can't. He can't do
Well,
anything.
there also was a chance for him to win it at the end of this game, but the plays called were weird. It was a weird attempt to try to go downfield. I believe it was like
Yeah.
9 passes
And
in a row.
you could see it on his face. I talked about it last week where you could see it on his face where he knows that he can't do any better and they're still
Yeah.
going to lose games and he knows that this season's done. But he solidified himself as like he is the Bengals. Like the Bengals just
Yeah.
don't spend money on players and that's just what they've always done. They need to start spending money and getting some good pieces around him because I mean, like I said, you have Joe Burrow, you have Jamar Chase, you have two people that can just that's the Tyreek Hill Tua, that's that kind of situation. Now you just got to build around them, and I feel really bad for those guys.
Well,
But
also, Joe Burrow this season, 28 touchdowns, 5 turnovers. He lost 1 fumble and threw 4 interceptions, and then he
it's
has
just
1
insane.
rushing touchdown. So, if his
If
team
this was on a winning record, he would be the MVP.
yeah, I think he would be the unanimous MVP without,
Yeah,
like, discussion. I mean, Lamar Jackson, every time he plays, like, a winning team, which we're gonna talk about, he has struggled this season. Joe Burrow, doesn't matter if he's playing good teams, bad teams, he still has, like, the best game of the weekend in
yeah,
terms of just stats. But I'll tell you what, Herbert and McConkey just on that last drive, they just went
yeah,
right downfield. McConkey caught 2 like really good passes, and then that was it. That was just the game right there. So
yeah.
shout out to the Chargers. We always say on this podcast, good teams find ways to win, and they held off a Bengals fury where they were just coming back and then just
See, this is what everybody expected the Chargers to be for years. For the last
pretty
2
much
or
every years
yeah,
or
is
20
they
years.
have the pieces and they finally got the coach. They
Yeah,
finally got the coach that's going to bring them to the promised land. And obviously, this is just a stepping stone year. This is his first year. They're 7-3. like
I know.
this is a great start for this team. And I know Justin Herbert's just like, finally,
Thank God.
I've got a coach that
Yeah.
knows what he's doing.
And I'll tell you
And
what, Herbert started off the season slow, but the past like 3 weeks to a month, he's really started to like now he's playing quarterback. Now he's
I
catching on.
love I've told you I've always liked Justin Herbert, and I just think it was that whole organization was just screwing everything up. And
Yeah.
I'm very happy now that they've got the right pieces in there in coaching, management, and everything. I think this is where he's going to start to shine. And I guarantee you in the offseason, um, we're going to see some major players going to the Chargers.
Yeah.
I mean, who
Well,
wouldn't want to go
also,
play for Harbaugh? Like, who wouldn't?
yeah. Also, this season, 13 passing touchdowns, 1 interception. So
There you
Herbert
go.
is, yeah,
He's playing
just not
smart
turning it
football.
over.
He's not he's not costing his team games. That's
No.
that's that's the best part about him is he is not costing his team games. He's keeping his team in it. Just like Joe Burrow, he's not costing his team games. Um, but it came down to which defense was going to play better, and
Yeah.
ultimately it was the Chargers defense, which we thought.
Next up, Casino, our last one in the who are actual contenders, because I think so far Seahawks, 49ers, maybe, Chargers, definitely, Bengals are dead. Vikings had a nice little bounce back game here. Win 23-13. Vikings are now 8-2. The real only touchdown of this game for the Titans was like a 99-yard bomb from Will Levis standing in his end zone. So
Mhm.
outside of that, they pretty much kept the entire Titans offense in check. They had Will Levis was their leading rusher with 18 yards. Pollard had 15 yards, and then you
Uh,
take away the 99 yards, and he's
do you
under
just go to
200 yards passing.
do running backs just go to Dallas to die?
Apparently, I mean, Pollard, I still think he would be miles better than anyone on the Cowboys right now, but still in Tennessee, I mean, he has what this season he has 681 yards. So, not
With 3
bad.
touchdowns.
He's doing pretty good this season, but again, he's on a team that is 2-8. So, nobody's really talking about him. But as far as the Vikings go, Darnold comes back from that awful abysmal game last week, throws 2 touchdowns, goes 20 for 32. No running game really. Justin Jefferson and Addison were the leading in targets and receptions. So,
I'm
I
still
feel like
waiting for the TJ Hawkinson breakout game.
yeah.
I think that's still to come. I
Well,
think
all
they're
no, go
putting
ahead.
that in their back pocket for one of their tougher opponents.
Yeah, but for them to play in this game where nobody really got cooking except for the defense and Darnold, I mean, they still win comfortably by 10 points.
Mhm.
Again, I'm not saying the Vikings are back, but this was a good bounce back game for them. So the Vikings, in my book, still contenders. Still contenders. Now, Casino, we move on to number two, or no, sorry, these were what's going on with these teams. Number two is who are actual contenders. And this is where we talk about your team's Casino or your game. Chiefs Bills. Uh do your victory lap, do your celebration.
I love every
Uh
second of it. God,
you
they look good.
I did say the game would end 24-21. I was close. It would the I thought the Bills would get 21 points and the Chiefs would get
Well,
24.
right, I told you, like, I sent the message to you right before the scramble play that we will talk about. I was just like, "It's done. Chiefs are gonna win. They're gonna go down. Like, this is sucks, blah, blah, blah." And then I just instantly just retexted you, and I was just like, "Josh Allen is God."
Yeah. He had, I mean, Josh
He's a
Allen
god.
12 carries, 55 yards, 1 touchdown. The play that basically won them the game was the 4th and 2 scramble into the end zone. He runs over 3 defenders and gets
Well,
punched in the
the
head.
Chiefs, I just can't believe that. I mean, they played that last play. They played really good defense. They
Yeah,
played really good defense, and it was a really good zone defense. But what happened was the receivers when they went when they basically went towards the sidelines, it opened up every hole in that Chiefs defense because they had to switch to man off the
yeah,
fly. And when they did that, they what happened is they didn't have a spy anymore to watch for the run. And man, like talk about just IQ from Josh Allen. Josh Allen's IQ of that play, just going, oh, okay, zone. Now it's man. There's a pocket. Nobody's covering me. I can run up the gut.
yeah.
Was just outstanding. Um, play of the game, play of the year. Like, that is the play of the year,
Yeah.
100%,
Well,
especially
also,
especially if it comes down to where I said where, they both end, with 3 losses because I could see KC losing 2 and, the Bills losing 1, and, they both have 3 losses and Bills get the number 1 overall seed. That's the play of the year. That's the play of the year because if if that if that scenario happens and then the Chiefs go to the AFC Conference Finals against the Bills in Buffalo and Buffalo can pull it off because it's not an Arrowhead,
yeah.
that right there is the play of the season. The play of the season. So that's outstanding. I love every second of Josh Allen what he did there.
I mean, I cannot wait till week 15 when it's Bills at Lions. Like
Oh, Bills at Lions. Yeah.
the
That
2
could
powerhouses, AFC, NFC. Like,
so
man.
what I could see here happening is so the Bills, they got their last games here.
So they're on a
Um,
bye week this week.
yep,
Then they go
the
Niners,
Niners,
Rams,
Rams,
Lions, and
Lions.
then your team twice and Jets. So their last 3 games are basically a lock where they win all 3 of those games. Niners will be a tough game. I think they kill the Rams, and then Lions, Bills. I mean, I'm picking the
That's
Lions in that game, but
I'm gonna probably pick the Lions in that game, and then that's where I'm gonna say the Bills go nine or Bills get their third loss. But with that being said, I can see the Chiefs legitimately losing to the Chargers. I can see them legitimately losing to the Texans, the Steelers, and the Broncos. There's going to be the Bills have 1 tough game. The Chiefs have 4.
yeah, no, that's
That's what
true.
I'm saying is I can see the Chiefs splitting those 4 games and the Bills losing 1. That's it. Like this is going to really come down to the wire, and I love every second of it. If it can,
Well,
I just don't want the AFC Championship to go through Arrowhead. It needs to
yeah.
be somewhere on the road.
Yeah. Well, also the Chiefs last year won a Super Bowl just playing all their games on the road. So it's not like that really matters in the end of it, but it gives more favor to the Bills in that matchup if it's at home versus in Arrowhead. And you mentioned it with the Vikings where you're like, when is the TJ Hawkinson game going to happen? When is the DeAndre Hopkins Chiefs game going to happen? I feel like they traded for him. It was a big topic. It was like, oh, Mahomes finally has a
Well, it
number
was
one
like
wide
it was
receiver.
that first game. It was the first game where he had like the 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, but he hasn't had like a big. I'm talking like, I'm not saying a Jamar Chase game a couple weeks ago where he had almost 300 yards or whatever, but he hasn't. The most yards he's had since he played with the Chiefs has been 73. No, it's even been less than that. He had 86, or it's been a little more. He's had 86 yards. So it's not like it's not he had 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, and since then his yards and receptions have
Yeah,
gone down
yeah, I
past
mean,
2
it was the
previous
first
games.
game against the Bucks. Hopkins went 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was his game.
Yeah, but then now he's
And
just gonna
he won
completely
that game.
disappear?
We watched that game at the bar. He won that
I
game
know.
against the Bucks because of DeAndre Hopkins.
I know. But yeah, I just think it's weird that that was like his peak and now each week he's gotten less targets, less receptions, yes, less yards and no touchdowns.
Yeah, because
That
it's
just
just
seems weird.
he's a security blanket when you need him.
Yeah. And then Worthy was I thought he was great in this game. He had a couple catches that were
Outstanding.
amazing. But as far as they should be getting Pacheco back, I think this week or maybe next week. But really, the
Wow, that's
issue is
crazy.
now.
Worthy only had 61 yards.
I know it felt like he had over 100.
Well, I
It
think
felt like he
it
was
was
everywhere.
literally it was just that one drive that he went down and scored
Yeah.
that touchdown.
Where
It
I
was
think
like
where he
because he
had
had
like
4
5
receptions. It was one
receptions.
drive.
Yeah.
It was just the one drive where he had the 4 receptions for 61 yards on the touchdown for that one thing. But he made it look like he was there the whole game.
And as far as Mahomes goes, now 15 touchdowns, 11 interceptions on the season. The most he's ever had in a season last year was 14 interceptions. I feel like he's going to blow past that with
Mhm.
the last 2 months of the season.
Oh,
So,
especially when he goes up against the Steelers all
eh,
day.
so he's going to finish this season most likely with the least amount of touchdowns he's ever thrown and the most amount of interceptions he's ever thrown. And again, Mahomes has always been a gunslinger when you watch him, but he's never been careless with the football. This season, I mean, that first interception he threw, that was an awful Will Levis-esque interception. He threw that in right over the guy's head, like in there was 4 people on the Bills around that ball. And then of course it goes right into the Bills
Yeah.
guys' hands. But what's going on with Patrick Mahomes Casino?
Um, he's just not on it, man. Like I don't know, man. I'm very happy about it though. Maybe the pressure's too much for him. I don't know. I know it's not, but I love
You
seeing
hope.
it. I love
So do I.
I love seeing him digress a little bit.
Yeah, please give us more Chiefs losses this season.
I can see he's got 4 tough games remaining.
Yeah, and again, if you did you see that thing that came out? I wanted to talk about it on the show, but it was just our show wasn't or it was like on the weekend or something like that. But it was the thing where they said if every record was reversed in one score games, you know how they always do that every season,
Mhm.
the Chiefs would be bottom of the league in terms of wins or losses because all their wins have basically been by one score. So
That's what I'm saying is they've been going backwards. Every
yeah,
game seems to be a little bit more tough for them, a little more tough for them, because they were squeaking out games against good teams, and then as of late, they've been, the Bucks was a real good one, the Broncos, like teams that are good but not like top tier. So I think they're going to start to slow down here, and I think this loss is going to rattle them a little bit. They're not going. They're like, oh, we're not undefeated anymore. Um, that's going to go through their psyche because
yeah,
I could guarantee you, yeah, like they're going to struggle. I mean, I know the Broncos are 6-5, but they got the Steelers who are 8-2. They have the Chiefs, or they have the Chargers who are 7-3, the Texans who are 7-4. This is going to be tough, man. This is going to be real, real tough. And I know the Raiders are only 2-8, but we've already seen the Raiders play them tough. Once this year, it's in division. They hate those two teams hate each other. So that's going to be fun. The Browns, you could just wash that out of the way, but unless they pull up like another Ravens defeat. But
yeah.
um, yeah, man, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for how this is going to play on out.
I am excited Thursday for our power rankings because there's a lot of teams moving around, at least in mine, and I'm
Oh,
assuming yours
mine's
too.
definitely mixed, pretty heavy.
So speaking of Lions Casino, Lions at
Lions,
Jaguars. Lions win 52-6. I mean, to
and they
bounce
did it
back,
with ease.
that's what I'm saying. To bounce back from a 5 interception game with a 0 interception, 4 touchdown game from Goff. This felt like a statement game. This felt like a we won last week but didn't look good doing it, so maybe people are starting to doubt us, and then all of a sudden they just score. I think it was like 9 possessions in a row where they scored a touchdown or something insane like that.
Yeah,
7, 8, 9, one of those. So uh are the Lions right now the clear best team in the NFL?
by far, like
I think
by
so too.
far.
Yeah.
They're so good. And Jared Goff, 24 for 29, 412 yards. So 412 yards off of 24 completions with 4 touchdowns. He averaged 14.2 yards per pass. He just made it look so goddamn easy. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown, dude, was just outstanding. And I mean, Williams, I didn't know that he only had 4 receptions, but 4 receptions for 124 yards. Just insane.
Yeah.
Insane. And he's passing the ball. He hit 2, 4, 6, 8. He hit 9 of his receivers. He hit, or including, running back as well. But
Yeah.
like he hit 9 players, man, passing the ball. Like just outstanding. And all but 2 had 20 yards or more. Like this offense is just insane. And then Montgomery had 75 yards on the ground. Gibbs has 69 yards, nice. And then Reynolds and Goff, I mean, both 21. Like this is just they have weapons everywhere, just absolutely everywhere. And then I know that we talked about Zadarius Smith getting pulled over. They had 1 sack for the game, and he was the part of the half sack on there. Um,
Yeah.
so already coming in there, I know that's not that much, especially against Jacksonville. But you like to see that, especially coming off with his injury and coming over to the team. But as soon as he gets in there to play, he's putting pressure on the quarterback, and I love every second of that.
Yeah.
He had a really good quarterback hit, and half a sack. So love it. Love it.
Now, only thing that scares me with the Lions is they're 27th in the league right now against the pass. So you can pass against this
That
defense.
doesn't matter if you're going to put up 52 points on teams.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They are fifth against the run, so they're one of the top five best
Yeah.
running
So
defenses in the league. And they,
this is the amount of points they've put up this season: 26, 20, 20, 42, 47, 31, 52, 24, 26, 52.
yeah,
That's
they
insane. They
they
have not
are the
scored less than 20
league.
points this season.
They're the league leaders in offensive touchdowns, so they've scored the most offensive touchdowns of any team in the league.
Dude, to have
And
that's just insane. You have 4 games above 42 points.
whew,
There's no stopping this offense. I don't care how good of a defense you are. There's no stopping this offense.
yeah, top three in the league in rushing, top six in the league in passing. Again, it's really in the NFC. It is going to come down to the Lions and the team we're talking about next, Casino. My Eagles now 8-2, which is insane that the Eagles are 8-2 against the Washington Commanders, 26-18. And boy, is this score misleading, because this was domination basically after at halftime. It was 7-3, and it was a really boring game, really weird game. And then all of a sudden after halftime, Eagles come out, kind of just assert their dominance, shut down Jaden Daniels.
I mean,
Robinson was,
Jalen Hurts didn't even really have the best game. It was all Saquon Barkley just absolutely murdering on the ground.
yeah. Hurts, however, did not turn the ball over, which is always a plus. But 18 of 28, 221, no turnovers, no
That could have been the game.
touchdowns. Yeah. But Saquon Barkley, 26 carries, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I mean, both of his touchdowns were really the dagger in this Commanders team's heart. But what I love about this narrative about the Eagles is it's like, oh, I mean, it was against the Commanders and they didn't look good for a half. But then you see the other games where it's like Steelers, Ravens. It's a two
Yeah,
point game.
and you're saying that
Doesn't
like the Commanders aren't a good team. Like
well, that's
the
yeah.
Commanders
It's
are a good team, you know?
also a good team on a Thursday night short week. Like, Eagles basically dominate the entire game, almost get twice the amount of yards compared to the Commanders. And the narrative after this game is like, I mean, what's really going on with the Eagles? And it's like, can this team go to a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts? And it's like, yeah, you know how I know that? They've already been to one with Jalen Hurts. And if you
Yeah,
look at his basically all of his quarterback stats and rankings compared to the year he went to the Super Bowl, they're
yeah.
almost identical. So
And
it's
and
like,
and they just played a Commanders team who only lost to good teams. Like they lost to the Bucks at the beginning of the season when he had all of his weapons. When Baker had all of his weapons, they lost to the Ravens in a one-score game. So close, right? Then they lost to the Steelers with a 1-point game, and then they just lost to the Eagles. Like this is not a bad team. They're not a bad team. The Commanders are a really good team. So for the Eagles not to play well, in that first half, no, they just played a good team.
yeah,
They just played a good team. They're just better. And nobody expecting Washington to be good outside of me, this whole season, which is just funny to me. That they're sitting 7-4, only loss against good teams, which, hey, that's fine. That's fine. People expected you to be maybe a 500 team this year, and
yeah,
you're sitting 3 above that. So I'm I'm totally fine with this team. They're gonna kill the Cowboys next week. Then they have the Titans, Saints, Titans, Saints. They do play the Eagles again, and then they have Falcons, Cowboys. Like there's a lot of winnable games. This team can easily be a 10-win team.
yeah. Well, also, when you look at the Eagles defense going into this upcoming week, into week 12, the Eagles are number one in total defense, number two in total pass defense, and then number seven in total rush defense. They've also allowed the fifth least amount of touchdowns of any team in the league at 18, which I think they're tied with like 3 teams for. So everybody talks, ourselves included, talks about how great the Broncos defense is, how great the Steelers defense is, how great the Bears defense is. The Eagles are better defenses than those teams we praise as number 1 defenses. So Eagles right now currently in the league have the best
Man, your
defense.
screen is bouncing around like
I know I'm
crazy.
bouncing my knee against this desk because it irritates me. It's like the narrative after this game, everybody was talking about the Eagles like they lost the game. And it's like, did you watch the game? Did you see how they completely shut down the other offense? As if the number 1 wide receiver on the other team, on the Commanders, Terry McLaurin, 1 reception, 10 yards.
Yeah,
That was their number
that's
1
the
wide
game. That's
receiver.
the game. They shut down Jaden Daniels' guy.
They shut down the entire offense. The only one who got catches was the running back out of the backfield, was
Mhm.
Eckler, who had 8 receptions, and then Ertz had 6 receptions for 47 yards. The next closest person had less than 20 yards receiving. So again, Brian Robinson had a pretty decent game against the running defense, 16 carries, 63 yards, 1 touchdown. But again, once they shut him down a couple runs in a row, it was all they could do was try to pass, and they couldn't get it moving at all. This was Jaden Daniels' worst game of the year by far. And again, it's talked about as if it's nothing. Last game we're going to talk about today, Casino, then we'll get out of here. Ravens at Steelers. We just mentioned it. Pittsburgh wins 18-16. And again, the narrative with Lamar Jackson is he only plays bad games against the Chiefs and the Steelers. Against the Chiefs, he has in the 5 games he's played against the Chiefs, he has an 81 or an 82% passer or an 82 passer rating, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, right? He's never, um, I think he's only won 1 of those games against Patrick Mahomes. But he doesn't play bad in those games. Where he plays bad, or yes, he is 1-4 against the Chiefs in his career. So he's beaten Patrick Mahomes once. But everybody talks about like Patrick or Lamar Jackson against the Chiefs. He plays well in those games. His team just loses.
Mhm.
However, Lamar against a divisional AFC North opponent in the Steelers, he has a 2-4 career record against the Steelers. And when he starts those games, he is 1-3. So I'm assuming in one of those games he came in. But in 7 games against the Steelers, he has a pass rating of 66.7, 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So Lamar Jackson plays his worst games against his divisional rival in the Steelers. And this was another one where he just looked like, I don't know what the Steelers know that the rest of the league doesn't, but the
Hmm.
Steelers have the blueprint to shut down Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. But this game came down to one person. It was Chris Boswell, man. 646. Dude,
Yeah.
that's a Steelers franchise record. That's just outstanding. Dude,
Well, and
to
also on
18 points off of just your kicker.
and
Oh,
then on the other side, Justin Tucker has just reverted to being or has just
dude,
regressed to being
that
one of
was
the worst
insane. He
kickers in
was
the
like on
league.
a 73 game or 73 uh, field goal record or like continuous record. And
Yeah.
he misses 2 in a row. That's the game.
Well, the past 2 seasons, he just looks like all of a sudden Father Time is catching up to him.
Well, I mean,
He
he's
was,
older. He's an older kicker.
yeah. And I think also this game was the game that made him lose the
How
percentage
old
of
is he now?
kicks record. I
I mean,
don't
he's only
know the
34.
guy.
He's only a year older than Boswell, so
He's only a year older than us, or a
no,
year or 2 older.
he's
Jesus.
34. He's our
Yes.
age.
Or he is our age. Oh my God. We're
Yeah.
so old, Casino.
He's your
We're
age.
an
Well,
we're an
he'll be my
old
age here in less than a month when I turn 34.
we're an old kicker age. We're an
Could you
old
imagine
kicker
being in
age.
the NFL right now kicking balls?
I would probably be doing way worse than
Do
Trevor
you think you could kick
Justin
20
Tucker.
yards?
No way. No
20?
way.
20
No.
yards?
No way.
I think I could do 20 yards.
Well, you also played soccer, so
That's
maybe.
what I'm saying. I think I could do 20 yards.
Yeah, no way I could.
I mean, because I couldn't get like good loft or anything because I don't have the flexibility, but I think I have enough power to at least line drive one like 20 yards.
Yeah, and hit the bottom crossbar.
Probably.
Yeah. But the play of this game was the stopped 2-point conversion from the Ravens, which if you look at, there was a video going around where Aguilar and Isaiah Likely are arguing at the end of the line and like look like they're in a literal verbal like argument over what they're supposed to do on that play. And then when the ball snaps, Lamar Jackson goes to the left side where both of those two are standing, and both of them are blocking. Neither of them are like receivers. And then Lamar Jackson just gets hit, and the 2-point conversion looked like it just had 0% chance of working. So I think right there was some miscommunication about who was supposed to be the eligible receiver and who was supposed to be the blocker on that play.
Mhm.
And the Steelers also look like the team that knows, oh, on this play, Lamar Jackson's going to go to his left side and he's going to try to find somebody because the entire Steelers defense went with him and stopped him. So, again, I don't know what the Steelers know that the rest of the league doesn't, but they have the blueprint to stop Lamar Jackson. Every time he plays them,
It's Mike Tomlin, man. Mike Tomlin, he's just a good coach.